Okay, people, I can start reading again. The crew separated and opened the hatch on the Calliope's box. The Hamanan, his head barely level with my waist, waggled his raised hands. With the help of his small, dexterous fingers, they inserted a different wooden placket set with tiny horn pegs, then reset the mechanism of plucked and bowed gut strings, cranked out the horn that broadcast the music into the water, attached the steam tube, and wound the spring that powered it all. Chakos walked aft, still worried. Music soothes the savage flowers, the Chinaman said, calloused fingers to lip. We wait now and watch. The Florian ran back to squat beside us. He looped a hand around his friend's bare ankles. The little man's brainless case held less than a third of the volume of young Chakos, and yet I had trouble deciding who was more clever or more truthful. Oh, hang on one second, people. A break in the story. I need to check to see if everything is working correctly. I'm going to turn my camera off. That's how I like to do it, people. All right, that one is working fine. That one is working fine. That one's working fine. And let's see. Hello, Cryptum Live. Okay. That's not working. In my quest for treasure, I focused on my studies on old foreigner records, and what little I had learned about my human history, I did not feel comfortable revealing to myself. 10,000 years ago. In my quest for treasure, I focused on my studies on old foreigner records, and what little I had learned about my human history, I did not feel comfortable revealing to myself. 10,000 years ago. In my quest for treasure, I focused on my studies on old foreigner records, and what little I had learned about human history did not feel. 10,000s of years ago, humans had fought a war against forerunners and lost. The centers of human civilization had been dismantled, and the humans themselves devolved and shattered into many forms. Some said as punishment, but more likely because they were naturally violent species. I apologize for all this feedback that I'm getting here, people. Devolved and shattered into many forms. Some said as all right, now try this different way. I hope everybody is still listening. I'm sorry about all that bad feedback. Just wanted to make sure I was being heard. And thank you for still tuning in, my one viewer on Twitch and YouTube together. Thank you so much for tuning in to my story. Oh, well, to Greg Bear's story. The librarian, for some reason, had espoused the human cause. My Ansel explained it either as a form of penance or at the librarian's request. The records were vague. The council had given her charge of Erde Tyrene, and she had moved the last humans there. Under her care, some of the humans had stubbornly re-evolved. I couldn't tell whether that might be true or not. They all looked degraded to me. From that seed stock over 9,000 years ago, more than 20 varieties of humans 20 varieties of humans. 20 varieties of humans. Had migrated and formed communities around this water-soaked world. Husky, Alcher, and brown Kitataman wandered the northern latitudes and skirted massive grinding sheets of ice. These dwellers in glacier shadows wrapped themselves in harsh woven fiber and fur. Not far from this inland crater sea, over an imposing range of mountains, skinny, lithe Beshamanen scampered across equatorial grasslands and leaped into thorny trees to avoid predators. Some chose to build crude cities as if struggling to reacquire past greatness and failing miserably. Because of strong similarities in our natural genetic structure, some forerunner sages thought humans might be brethren species, also shaped and given breath by the precursors. It was possible the librarian was intent on testing those theories. Very shortly, evolved or not, there might soon be 7 fewer humans in the librarian's collection and 1 less forerunner. We sat near the widest spot on the deck, away from the low rail. Chakas formed his fingers into a cradle, then swapped them in an exercise he immediately refused to teach me. His wry smile was so like that of a forerunner child. The little Florian watched us with some amusement. The Merce had made a sad, damp, whistling noise and squirted jets of water. Their spray smelled like rotted seaweed. Looked at from afar, the creatures that surrounded our boat were laughably simple, little more advanced than the comb jellies that swam in the glassy walls of my swap father's palace, and that russet spot 100 million kilometers away, and yet they sang to each other, spoke in soft musical murmurs through the long nights, then basked silent in the dappled sun as if sleeping. On rare occasions, the crater ocean roiled with brief sea merce wars, and shreds of glistening flesh washed up on far beaches for weeks. Maybe there was more to these blind krakens than a manipulator could judge. The librarian might have had a hand in bringing them to Erida Tyrene to grow in the Gemonkin crater, where they also served her ends, perhaps by solving biological riddles in their own strange way, using their own genetic songs. Was I imagining it, or was the grinding beneath and churn around us slowly subsiding? The moon set. The stars were thick for a time, then fog rolled back in, filling the crater bowl from brim to brim. Chakas claimed he had heard the gentle lap of waves on a beach. The Mercer quiet now, I think, he added hopefully. I got up to retrieve my armor, but a bulky, strong-looking human blocked my way. Chakas shook his head. The crew decided it might be time to drop the screw and engage the engine. Again, we made forward progress. I couldn't see much beyond the rail except little bursts of phosphorescence. The water, what little I could see of it, appeared calm. Chakas and the Florian murmured human prayers. The Florian ended his prayers with a short, sweet melody like bird song. Had I been faithful to my upbringing, I would even now be contemplating the dictates of the mantle, silently repeating the 12 laws of making and moving, allowing my muscles to flex accordingly to those rhythms until I swayed like a sapling. But here I was, following false hopes, associating with the discredited and the low, and I might yet swim in a toothy sea, my underdeveloped body shredded by mindless monsters. Or walk on a deserted beach around a sacred island in the middle of an old asteroid crater, flooded ages ago with cold water so pure it dried without residue. Challenge, mystery, unbridled danger, and beauty. It was all worth whatever shame I might be wise enough to feel. As a manipulator, I still resembled Chakas more than my father. I could still smile, but thought it beneath me. Hmm. Despite everything in my thoughts, I could not help visualize myself as a taller, broader, stronger. Hang on one second, people. I think this fan up here is interfering with my reading. Okay, I think that might help a little bit. Oh. Despite everything in my thoughts, I could not help visualizing my father as taller, broader, stronger. Like my father, with his long, pale face, crown hair, and nape fur bleached white, with lilac roots, fingers capable of surrounding a shrop melon, and strong enough to smash its tough shell to pulp. This was my contradiction. I mistrusted everything about my family and my people, yet still dreamed of mutating into a second form while keeping my youthful, independent attitude. Of course, it never seemed to happen that way. The pilot strode aft with renewed confidence. The Murs thought we are one of them. We should reach the ring island in less than a flare. Humans counted time using waxy wicks tied with knots that flared when touched by an ascending flame. Even now, two of the crew were lighting lanterns with crude sticks. One second, people. I'm sorry. I am checking on some things here. One second, people. I'm sorry. I am checking on some things here. In the fog, something big jumped the bow. I caught myself in mid-lurch and steadied against a wide, slow swing of the stern. Chakas jumped to his feet, grinning ear to ear. "That's our beach," he said. The crew dropped aboard on on the black sand. Onto the black sand. The Florian scampered ashore first. He danced on the beach and snapped his fingers. "Shh," Chakas cautioned. Again, I tried to retrieve my armor, and again the bulky crew member blocked my way. Two others approached slowly, hands out, and guided me towards Chakas. He shrugged at my concern. They fear even that from the beach it might anger the Merce. I had little choice. They could kill me now, or I might die from some other cause later. We crossed the ramp through the fog. The crew stayed on the boat, and so did my armor. As soon as we disembarked, the boat backed water, swung about, and left us in the drizzle and darkness with nothing but 3 small bags of provisions, human food only, though edible enough if I held my nose. "They'll be back in 3 days," Chaka said. "Plenty of time to search the island." When the boat was gone and we could no longer hear the chugging pump of its song, the Florian danced some more. Clearly he was ecstatic to walk once again on the ring island of Jimankin-A. "Islands hide all," he said, then chitted a rolling laugh and pointed at Chakas. "Boys know nothing. Look for treasure and die, unless you go where I go." The Florian pushed out expressive rose-colored lips and raised his hands above his head. Thumb and forefinger circled. Chakas seemed unaffected by the Florian's judgment. "He's right. I know nothing about this place." Hang on one second, people. I just got a notification about my stream, and I need to check it. think I'm still broadcasting, but just let me make sure real quick. Oh, Twitch has gone to an advertisement, so we're going to take a break for a second and let me keep my eyes open with the refreshment. Unfortunately, oh, we have 2 viewers now. Welcome to the stream. Happy to have you here. I'm still reading, waiting for an advertisement to get done on Twitch. That way y'all can see my logo and I can get back to reading. Every now and then I gotta get something to drink. But I think I can hold off on that for a couple more minutes. Here we go, back to the story. The Florian pushed out expressive rose-colored lips and raised his hands above his head, thumb and forefinger circled. Shaka seemed unaffected by the Florian's judgment. He's right, I know nothing about this place. I, too, was relieved to have escaped the Merce to feel much irritation. I had known humans could not be trusted. They were degraded forms, no doubt about it. But something felt authentically strange about this beach, this island. My hopes refused to wink out. We walked inland a few meters and sat on a rock, shivering in the damp and cold. First, tell us why you're really here, Chakos said. Tell us about forerunners and precursors. In the dark, I could see nothing above the palms, and beyond the beach, nothing other than a faint glow from the breaking wavelets. Precursors were powerful. They drew lines across many skies. Some say that long ago they shaped forerunners in their image. Even the name we gave ourselves, Forerunner, implied a fleeting, impermanent place in the mantle, accepting that we were but a stage in the stewardship of living time, that others would come after us, other and better. And us? The Florian asked. Hominin and Shamanin. I shook my head, unwilling to encourage this story or believe it. I am here to learn why the precursors went away, I continued, how we might have offended them, and just possibly find the center of their power, their might, their intelligence. Oh, Chaka said, are you here to discover a great gift and please your father? I'm here to learn. Something to prove you're not a fool. Chakos opened the bag and handed out small rolls of dense black bread made with fish oil. I ate but enjoyed none of it. All of my life others had judged me to be a fool. But it stung when degraded animals reached the same conclusion. I flicked a pebble toward the darkness. When do we start looking? Too dark. First, start a fire, the Florian insisted. We gathered branches and half-decayed palm chunks and built the fire. Chaka seemed to doze off. Then he awoke and grinned at me. 1 second, people. Whoever all is listening, I needed to check my stream to make sure we're running correctly. And I think we are. I want to say we are. Oh, an advertisement. Oh, here we go again, waiting on the advertisement to get done. I just want to read, just want to read, just want to read, just want to read. Other times I might just turn on a Halo game and play and then read in between levels if I can manage it. But that might be for another day. That was kind of hard to do last time I tried it. Oh boy, it's almost gone. We only got a half an hour of reading left before I gotta hit the sack. I'd like to be able to read all night, but I don't think that's gonna happen. I might have to stop this stream with Twitch for just a second and then start it again. Because I'm streaming to both YouTube and Twitch to anybody who might be listening. It's not very easy on my internet, but that's why I'm not doing any video, because that will take up even more bandwidth. But I've started up my strength to twitch again, so maybe it'll work. Hopefully it will. And waiting. Waiting for it. There we go. There's the connection. Page is full. Okay, people, here we go. We built the fire. Chaka seemed to doze off. Then he awoke and grinned at me. He yawned and stretched and looked out over the ocean. Forerunners never sleep, he observed. Excuse me. That was true enough, as long as we wore armor. Nights are long for you, no? The Florian asked. He had rolled his fish oil bread into round little balls and placed them in lines on the smoothness of glassy black rock. Now he plucked them and, one by one, popped them into his mouth, smacking his broad lips. Better that way? I asked. He made a face. Fish bread stinks, he replied. Fruit flour is best. The fog had lifted, but overcast still lay over the entire crater. Dawn was not long off. I lay on my back and looked up at the graying sky, at peace for the first time I could remember. I was a fool. I had betrayed my maniple, but I was at peace. I was doing what I had always dreamed I would do. Dawamad, I said. Both humans lifted their eyebrows. It made them look like brothers. Dawamad was a human term for the roll and tug of the universe. It actually translated rather neatly into Forerunner builder speak. You fall as your stresses crack you. You know about that? Chakas asked. My Insula taught me. That's the voice in his clothes, Chakas told the Florian, a female. Is she pretty? The little one asked. Not your type, I said. The Florian finished the last rounded ball of fish oil bread and made another remarkable face. So many expressive muscles. Dawa Mad. Hang on one second, people. Advertising coming through, and my streamer, OBS, just stopped to. And it's trying to reconnect again. Give me just 1 minute here, folks. Well, apparently I am still streaming, so let's go back to Twitch and see if you are working. Let's go home. We're not loading anything. I'm going to go to my home. I wonder if I even need YouTube open to be streaming to YouTube. Let's see what happens when I do that. Okay, I'm still streaming. Hooray! Alright, let's minimize that. And let's see if we can make this smaller. Like there. And move this over just a little bit. Sorry, I'm trying to optimize my screen space. Means that I have to have 3 things open. Okay, back to the reading. Is she pretty? Not your type, I said. The Florian finished the last rounded ball of fish oil bread and made another remarkable face. So many expressive muscles. Dao mad. We hunt, we grow, we live. Life is simple. We do. He poked Chakas. I begin to like this forerunner. Tell him all of my names. Chakas took a deep breath. The hominin sitting right next to you, whose breath smells of fish oil and stale bread, his family name is Day Chaser. His personal name is Morning Riser. His long name is Day Chaser, makes path long stretch Morning Riser. Long name for a short fellow. He likes to be called Riser. There, it is done. All good, all true, Riser said, satisfied. My grandfathers built walls here to protect and guide us. You will see you will see after sunup. Now, too dark. Good time to learn names. What's your real name, young forerunner? For a forerunner to reveal his actual using name to anyone outside the maniple, and to humans at that, delicious. A perfect thumb crook to my family. Born stellar, I said. Born stellar makes eternal lasting. From zero, manipular, untried. A mouthful, Riser said. He opened his eyes wide, leaned in, and made that full mouth lip curled leering grin that indicated vast Florian amusement. But it has a good rolling sound. I leaned back. I was getting more and more used to his fast, piping speech. My mother calls me Born, I said. Short, better, Riser said. Born it is. Day is coming, warmer soon, and bright, Shaka said. Shuffle and scuff. I don't want anyone to find tracks. I suspected that if anyone from Edom was searching for me, or if the Liberian's watchers decided to check from orbit from a drone, or with a direct flyover, they would find us no matter how we hit our tracks. I didn't say anything to my companions, however. In my short time on Air de Tyrann, I had already learned an important truth that among the poor, the downtrodden, and the desperate, foolish bravery is to be savored. I was obviously foolish, but apparently my two companions now believed I might be brave. We swept away our tracks using a palm frond from the shoreline vegetation. How far to the center of the island? I asked. Long legs, shorter trip, Riser said. Fruit along the way. Don't eat. Gives you the scoots. Save it all for me. It'll be fine, Chakas confided in me, if he leaves any for us. We're not going to the mountain, Riser said. He pushed through the vegetation. No need to cross the inner lake. A maze, some fog, a spiral, then a jump or two. My grandfather used to live here before there was water. Curiouser and curiouser, I knew for a fact again from my Ancilla that crater had been flooded and the lake planted with myrrh 1,000 years ago. How old are you? I asked. Riser said 200 years. For his people, just a youngster, Chaka said, then made a clicking sound with tongue and cheeks. Little folk, long lives, longer memories. The Florian whickered. My family grew up on islands everywhere. We made walls. My mother came from here My mother came from here before she met my father, and she told him, and he told me. Click song and stair whistle. That's how we'll know the maze. Click song, you are privileged, Chaka said. Hamunin do not often reveal these truths to outsiders. If they are true, I said. Neither took offense. The humans I had met seemed remarkably thick-skinned, or more likely, the pronouncement of a forerunner meant little on a world they thought was theirs. Daylight. Oh, please don't tell me. cut off on me again, stream. You sure did. Yep, it's gonna play an advertisement again. Folks, I am almost done with this book anyway, if you can hear me. If not, I'll say it again, and that might be it for tonight. Gonna get myself something to drink and chillax, and then fall asleep. Okay, in case you didn't hear me, I am just about done with this chapter, and then I'm going to call it a night. Every night, I'm going to try to read one chapter, or even during the day, I'm going to read two. But here we go. Click songs. You are privileged, Chaka said. Hominin do not often reveal these truths to outsiders. If they are true, I said. Neither took offense. The humans I had met seemed remarkably thick-skinned, or more likely the pronouncement of a forerunner meant little on a world they thought was theirs. Daylight finally arrived, and swiftly. The sky went from mellow orange to pink to blue in a few minutes. From the short jungle came no sound, not even the rustling of leaves. I had experienced few islands in my short existence, but I had never known any of them to be quiet as a tomb. And right there is where I will stop, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening in to Pages Full, presenting Halo Cryptum by Greg Bear. You all have a wonderful night, and remember, the world is full of pages waiting to be written by you.